Hey everyone, PAC-PREZ here, and as you can tell by the background, I'm not sitting in front of a regular old green screen. Nope, I'm sitting here in front of a cool place for us to have story time. It's kind of the first fireside chat that I'm going to have with you. Maybe I'll have more in the future, but instead of kind of that cut to the chase, let's talk about products. Today's going to be more about talking about a product, but more the history of the product and giving you a little bit of a dirt. Give me some storytelling here to talk about why PACLOCK did what they did and some funny stuff that we saw happen in the industry with our competitors that I'm not going to name names, but I'm willing to bet you guys could probably figure out who I'm talking about and ultimately maybe even verify what I'm saying. So with that said, let's get to it and let's talk about the Pro Series. All right, everyone. So again, we're going to talk about the Pro Series today. And the Pro Series for us is a lockout, tagout padlock. And I don't want to talk to you about lockout, tagout. Hopefully you know what that means. Hopefully you know it's a humongous industry that, there are big players in it, of which PACLOCK is just a minor plane. And some of you might ask, why PACLOCK? Why did you get in the lockout, tagout industry at all? We don't have devices. We don't have the different things that you need to lock up. We have padlocks, and in that we have two padlocks, a thermoplastic version and the aluminum version. Why even do that? Well, the answer is because we had a very important, very large customer that I'm not going to name that we've been supplying padlocks to for probably 5 or 6 years and called us up one day to say, Greg, PAC-PREZ, we've been asking you for a few years now about making a lockout, tagout padlock. And you've always said no. There's enough in the industry. What can PACLOCK do to make this padlock more interesting, more valuable, or better than what's out there today? Just keep buying what you got, right? They called me and said, Greg, we had a real problem. We got blasted by OSHA with a hefty fine because what happened was, as a large company like we are, they have multiple divisions, I'll call it. And within these divisions, let's just pretend each division has their own machine, a very large machine that might take anywhere from 500 to 1,000 lockout, tagout padlocks to lock out prior to someone working on that machine, all right? And they have many divisions like this. Well, this company had a contract with a very large national distributor, again nameless, that would sell lots of different things to include padlocks. And in this case, they sold, master locks. And that's what this company was used to buying. And before I continue the story, let me say, Master's got a good lockout, tagout padlock. In fact, some of you would say Master put the best cylinder they've ever manufactured into a plastic padlock, right? It is a really good 40,000 key change cylinder that you can't find anywhere else, Pro Series or otherwise. Where did they put that awesome cylinder? Inside a plastic padlock. Nonetheless, that 410 series that they sell, it's got an awesome cylinder, 40,000 key changes. And prior to PACLOCK doing what we did for our lockout tagout, that was one of the best lockout tagouts you could buy because the number of key changes is what's critically important for lockout tagout, right? If I'm the one locking out this system and I'm going to be inside a trash compactor and I put my padlock on the outside to make sure no one can energize it and ultimately crush me while I'm inside of it, I need to know I'm the only one with the key to that padlock. And my coworker can't come up to and say, that's weird. I must have left my lockout, tagout padlock on there. Let me unlock it and re-energize this. That's not what's supposed to happen. Hence the reason for 40,000 key changes, right? Typical padlocks, 4-pin padlock, you're getting maybe 200, 300 key changes realistically. 5-pin, you're getting up to maybe 800 or 1,000 key changes. 6-pin, you're getting up to around 2,500, 3,000 key changes realistically. Can people tell you there's more? Sure they can. But those of us in the industry know when you start looking about key interchange, you're not getting all those key changes, right? Nonetheless, 40,000 key change is awesome. So back to the story. Large customer, different divisions that each have a very large machine that needs hundreds or thousands of padlocks. And each division on their own can purchase from this large distributor. And when they purchase from that large distributor, they know what padlock to purchase and they buy 500 or 1,000 at a time. What happened to this customer was those divisions were doing that. And because the national distributor only has a limited number of different keys within those 40,000. These divisions were getting padlocks that had the same key numbers as other divisions. Now, did Division A know that Division C had the same key numbers? No, because why are they checking? There wasn't an expectation for them to check until OSHA came along. And when OSHA checked, they found there was key interchange between the divisions, and that is not allowed. They got blasted, right? This large company got blasted, hence the phone call to PAC-PREZ saying, PAC-PREZ, you got to help us. So we said, okay, we'll look into it, right? We'll look into it, but I'm not going to do what everyone else did, 40,000 key changes. We're going to figure something else out. We're going to do way better. Give us a couple of weeks. And in those couple of weeks, what we ended up figuring out was if we took our UCS cylinder technology, which with a 6-pin cylinder, we can get you 20,000 key changes guaranteed. I'll pay $150 to anyone that finds 2 key numbers in those 20,000 that operates the wrong lock, right? Only manufacturer to do that. That's how confident I am about our UCS system and about 20,000 key changes, okay? 6-pin. Okay, what happens if you add a 7th pin? Now, if you do the math and you realize that most of this is exponential, when you add that 7th pin, you're not just adding in another 20 or 30,000, you're adding in a lot more key changes. A lot more being over 200,000 key changes. Our 7-pin UCS style cylinder with a restricted keyway in our Pro Series has over 200,000 key changes. All right, now we say 200,000. If you're on Reddit and you know it, we've got a 200K club that if you can pick that lock, we'll send you a patch. You let us know. The 200K club, welcome to it. All right, but it's a hard lock to pick because of the 7 pins and what we've got inside that lock. Nonetheless, we went to our customer and said, we got it. We can make you a padlock that's got 200,000 key changes on one keyway, 5 times better, more key changes than any other manufacturer out there that we knew of at the time. Again, this is probably 5 years ago now, maybe 6 years ago. Okay, great. So we start manufacturing it. At about the same time, we said, you know what? Time for PACLOCK to go to a trade show that's focused on lockout, tagout. We've never been to one before. Let's go and exhibit. We just developed the most awesome lockout, tagout padlock by far. And let's go show it to people, see what we can do in this industry. As we were preparing for this trade show, we noticed that they had a best new product. Do you want to enter your padlock or your anything related to this convention into their best new product competition? So 4 or 5 months out, we saw that, we paid the money, we did a write-up on our awesome new Pro Series LOTO Padlock, telling about 200,000 key changes, 5 times more than anything else in the industry, best in class by far, submitted it. Didn't think much about it. About a month before the trade show, since we did submit and we're a part now of this paid best new product competition, got a pre-release of all of the products that were being submitted by all of the exhibitors that wanted to submit a product for best in class, best in show. All right, and we started flipping through it, looking at it, and oh, here's someone with a safety harness, and here's someone with a, whatever else related to lockout, tagout, but not padlocks, right? I mean, there must have been 40 or 50 different items in here from all the different vendors. But sure enough, there was one other padlock manufacturer in there that also submitted, apparently, a brand new design they had been working on without PACLOCK knowing, and obviously them not knowing PACLOCK was going to come out with our own padlock. They had submitted their own padlock. Brand new, awesome, best in class, best padlock out there for lockout, tagout, blows everything else away. 160 or like 180,000 key changes. Might even been 150,000 key changes. That was what was in the pre-release, 150,000 key changes. And then if you scroll down a couple more, guess what you saw? You saw PACLOCK's entry. And what does PACLOCK's entry say? Best in class, most ever, 200,000 key changes, right? Wow, craziness. How the chances of that happening, right? So we were obviously beside ourselves happy, and we felt like the other company looked pretty foolish. And we thought, okay, let's get to this trade show. Let's see what happens, right? This is kind of funny for them. Sure enough, we find out when we get to the trade show, No longer their listings say 150 or 160,000 key changes. Their listing now said over 200,000 key changes, right? We all know the truth, right? Before they knew PACLOCK was coming out with the best, they knew how many key changes they really had. And then when PACLOCK came out with ours and they saw it, what did they do? Now, I don't know. Are they fibbing about how many key changes they have? I don't know. Who's going to sit there and verify? I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I've got a $150 guarantee that says anyone find a key interchange, this key opening a lock that is not supposed to open on 200,000 K with PACLOCK, I'll pay you 150 bucks. That's our guarantee. I did that deliberately because I know there are a lot of true padlock manufacturers and then kind of your fake padlock manufacturers. People say they are a manufacturer, but they just bring it in from overseas or they OEM it with someone else who will tell you they have. We have 5,000 key combinations. Well, who's sitting there and verifying that they really have 5,000 key combinations? Who's sitting there and putting out 5,000 padlocks on a desk and taking one key and trying it out in all of these, right? Not many people. PACLOCK has, not 5,000. We've taken 50 padlocks from our competition and we've tried out one key in all 50. It takes about 4 hours to do to try out every key in every combination. And sure enough, we find key interchange when we're not supposed to be finding it. But the point is, not having a guarantee on how many key interchanges tells me no one else stands behind what they're saying about key changes. PACLOCK stands behind it. Our LOTO series, both the thermoplastic 410, and then yes, we came up with an aluminum version, right? The 98 Pro, because there was a customer up in Canada, large customer, that wanted to buy our LOTO series because of the key changes, but they didn't like thermoplastic, they wanted aluminum. So PACLOCK took the cylinder out of the thermoplastic lock, threw it into the aluminum lock, called it the 98 Pro, and that's your Pro series. And that's kind of your story time chat with PAC-PREZ that I hope gives you some fun stuff to think about, right? And understand why PACLOCK did what they did. We have the best LOTO padlock anywhere, and I guarantee it.